Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining me in the tutorial. So here in this one we are going to talk about the steps that we need to follow for uploading or for using Python libraries with our Lambda function. Okay, so I'm going to first demonstrate it to you, and after that I will tell you practically step by step how you can set up libraries for your Lambda function in your AWS using layer functionality. Okay, so stay tuned with me and don't skip anything. Watch this video from the beginning till the end. Fine. So this is a Lambda function, as you can see, which I have inside my Lambda console. Okay, and on the top, if you see, we have this NumPy and pandas. Now, Lambda doesn't have NumPy and pandas, by default. So if I will execute it, it should throw an error because NumPy and pandas are not there. But because I have a layer with this name, layer 2 created, in which I have all the libraries installed required for running this code, that's the reason instead of giving an error, it will give me the result which it is supposed to give. Right, so this is a result which I'm getting, as you can see, and it is perfectly fine. Right, so why it is able to give me the result? Because these two lines of code got executed successfully. So the function is able to find the libraries inside the Lambda console. Now, how I set it up, let me guide you about it. So if you are on Windows, okay, and you are trying to create virtual environment, and then from there you're trying to put the zip file over here in this console, so it may not work for you because this Lambda thing supports Linux. Okay, so the structure should be same. If you are creating virtual environment on your machine, and then you are putting all the libraries inside it, and then you are simply zipping the file and putting it over here as a layer, and then you're using it for your code, it may not work. So what is the best way of installing libraries for Lambda function? Let me guide you about it. So the first thing you have to do is you have to create an IAM user with the help of which you can log in into your AWS console through your VS Code. So this is the user which I've created. I'm going to create another one for you guys, and here I'm going to say testing user. Then next, then I'm going to do attach policies directly, and let's have administrator access, then do a next, and then create user. So it will create a user for us, which is testing user. Then come inside this testing user and create the access key so that you can access your AWS environment through the command line interface of your VS Code, okay, using the IAM user login credentials. So this is the access key for the newly created IAM user, okay, and I'm going to just put it over here in a notepad file. So this is the first step, okay. This is the step 1, and don't worry about this file. I'm going to give you this file handy in the form of a link, which I'm going to put in the description of this video. So secret key we can paste over here. Fine, so we are done with creating an IAM user, and we have the secret keys with us. What's the next thing that we have to do? We have to log in into AWS through VS Code. And how to do it? There is a command called AWS configure. We can simply copy this command, and okay, so I'm going to create a folder on my desktop, and let me just name it as testing Lambda. So whatever I'm doing, it's the same steps you also can follow. Then here I'm going to create another folder with name Lambda. You can name it whatever you want to. So you don't have to follow the same naming conventions which I'm using here. Code dot. So this will open this folder named Lambda, which we have created in VS Code for us. So you can see I'm inside this Lambda named folder, right, which I just created. Now I'm going to come in the terminal, and I'm going to simply run this command AWS configure. Make sure that you have AWS installed on your device, okay, because this is an SDK with the help of which you can interact with your AWS console from your VS Code terminal. So here I'm going to put the secret access key of my IAM user. It has asked me for the region, so it's US East 1 for me. That is correct. Fine. So, here if you see, it is US East 1, right? That's the reason I put US East 1 over here. So I'm done and I'm inside my AWS console right now. Okay. What is the next step? We need to create an EC2 instance. So we are going to create an Amazon Linux EC2 instance, okay, on which we will install Python, then we'll create a virtual environment, and then we'll put all the libraries required for our function to run inside Lambda console in that virtual environment. Okay, all this stuff we are going to do now. So let's come on EC2. Here I have to write EC. Let me just change the region first. So it is US East 1 for me. And here also I need to change it to US East 1. Then here I have to come on EC2, right? Simply type EC2 like this and it will redirect you to this dashboard where you'll be able to see the instances you have running in your AWS console. So as of now there is nothing. I'm going to simply come on launch instance and then come here on this notepad file, simply copy this Amazon Linux to AMI, okay, and put it over here like this. Sorry, I can name it to something else. Let's say Lambda EC2, and here I'm going to say Amazon Linux to AMI, and then we can go with t2.micro. Fine, because it's a free micro computer like thing for us, so you can go with it. Then we have to create the key pair. Okay, so this key pair will help us logging into this EC2 through our VS Code terminal. Just come on create new pair, and here you can put a name for your EC2 instances key pair key, and here you have to select PEM. So we need to create a PEM key. Okay, so I'm going to put here testing Lambda, and then we can simply create the key pair. Now I have to save it. So I'm going to save it inside the same folder which I just created. It is testing Lambda, and inside Lambda only I'm going to put this file. So if you see in this VS Code, now I'm able to see that PEM file. Okay, this is what I have inside my PEM file. Coming back to the EC2. Okay, so we are done with creating this instance. It's time for us to access the EC2 instance, log in into our EC2 instance from our VS Code. So this is our VS Code. Inside this directory, we have this PEM file for our EC2. Now we have to simply use this command for logging into our EC2. Fine, but we have to make some changes over here. So what is the name of our file? It is testing Lambda. Same thing we have to mention over here also, testing Lambda. Okay, it is a PEM file. Then where this has come from, so you have to come on your EC2 instance. Okay, just give it a refresh so that you can see it. I think I forgot to launch the instance, right? No problem, let me just do it again. I'm going to quickly do it. So it is, let me just name it as testing Lambda. Okay, and then here I have to select Amazon Linux to AMI. Okay, and then we can simply come down and create a new key pair. So I'm going to name it as testing Lambda PEM. Let me just remove it. Okay, it already exists, so let me just name it as testing Lambda. Create key pair, and I'm going to put it here. Then we have to simply allow the SSH traffics, fine, for all these three, and simply do a launch instance. So this will create an EC2 instance to you guys. Okay, so initially you will be able to see it in this state. Let me just refresh it. Okay, so I can see it over here and it says running. So it is currently active and I can start working on it. The status check is currently initializing. So let's see whether the commands which we will run will help us in logging into the EC2 console or not. No problem. So we have this testing lambda PEM over here. Let me just delete the one which I created earlier because that I didn't launch. Okay, so here we have to change it to testing lambda. Okay, now where this has come from, so you have to come in your EC2 instance, click on instance ID, and this is what you have to copy: 184.73.60.106. Fine. Just a second, let me come down and check everything. So we have to simply copy this, okay, and paste it over here. Now let me see whether I will be able to log in into it or not. So coming back to the console, and here I'm going to put this command. The authentication of host can't be established. No problem. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes, I'm sure I want to continue connecting. Okay, so I am now inside the Linux server which I just created, right? And this is a user which has got created automatically through this command. So if you want to use some other user, it totally depends upon you. You can use that. For now, we are going to go with EC2 user. Fine. What is the next thing? Set up the Python environment on EC2. So we need to install some libraries. Let's just copy and paste the command simply from the notepad file like this, and we can paste it over here. Simply execute it. Then we can come down, copy this command and paste it over here, execute it. So whatever commands are given in the notepad file, you have to simply copy them and just paste them. Fine. Rest everything will be done by the commands itself. Okay. So as you can see, the packages are getting installed right now. It is Python 3.8, which we are installing currently. If you want to use some other, Python module, you're free to go ahead with that. Now we're going to check the version of Python. So this is how we can do it. As you can see, it is Python 3.8.16, which is present on this Linux right now. And then let's see whether we have this pip also on it or not. Yes, we do have pip also, which is of 20.2.2. Okay, now it's time for us to create a virtual environment. So with the help of this command, we can easily do it, right? You guys must be knowing about it. So once the virtual environment gets created, what is the next thing? We need to activate the virtual environment. With the help of this command, we can do it easily. So as you can see, the virtual environment is activated. Let me just enlarge the size of it so that you can see the commands clearly. So this is our virtual environment which is currently active. It's time for us to install these two libraries. The first one is NumPy and the other one is pandas. So here we can simply write pip 3.8 install pandas. The libraries are getting downloaded and soon we'll be able to get it inside the virtual environment we have created. So we are done with successfully installing pandas. Let's see whether we can install NumPy also in the same way. But NumPy is something which comes by default with pandas, but no problem. Let's just see whether we have to install it like this, or we can just go ahead with the one which I've got installed from here. So NumPy, as you can see, is already there. Okay, so we are done with getting the Python and NumPy base directories and everything related to these two libraries inside our virtual environment with name env. What is the next thing? We need to zip the side packages named folder, which is present inside this Python 3.8, which is there inside this libname directory present inside this env. So what happens is, if you're new to Python, let me just tell you about what exactly I'm talking about. So if I do an ls, so I'm inside env, right? cd env, if I'll do, it will take me inside the in virtual environment directory. So if you see, we have a couple of folders inside the virtual environment. The first one is bin, then include, then lib. If I come in lib, what will happen? I'll see these folders, Python 3.8. Then if I come inside Python 3.8, it will show me a folder named site packages. And now if I come inside the site packages, it will show me all the packages present inside the site packages folder. So this is what we want, right, for our Lambda function to get executed. But for that, let me just come out of this folder first and be there inside the virtual environment. So I'm inside the virtual environment and it's my root directory. Now I have to zip this folder. Okay, so this is the command that we can use for creating a zip of it. Just copy and paste it over here. I think I was not able to copy the command properly. Let me just do it again. So you have to copy this command and just execute it. So what it will do, I'll tell you in a while. It is zipping all the files present in the CNV. Now if I do an ls, so see layer.zip, there is a zip file which has got created. Okay, and this is what we require for our Lambda function to get executed successfully in the Lambda environment. Now it is inside this EC2. How we will get it on our local? Okay, because we cannot directly transfer it from here to Lambda function. We'll have to first put it in S3, then from there we'll have to move it to Lambda function layer. But that will be a complex process, right? So what if I can download it directly on my device and then I can use it? How to do that? For that, you can just deactivate first your virtual environment. Okay, then you can log out from your EC2 console. So now I am inside a directory which is present on my local device. From here, I'm going to get this layer.zip. So as you can see, layer.zip is something which is present inside the root directory. Okay, so what I will do here is I'll simply use this command. So I'll have to change the PEM keys name first. This is how I can do it. Okay, and then I have to change the IP also. So this is the IP of my EC2, which I will have to put here. Okay, and simply I can use this complete command. Let's see what's gonna happen. Yeah, so that's where the file is present. Okay, so even if it is inside the CNV, doesn't matter. Actually, this is, I think, okay, so this is inside the root directory. Okay, so we can simply use this command. Fine, so to copy it on our local. Fine, so I just fired this command, this one, and I was able to, I need to change it to layer. Okay, what I did is I just fired this command, okay, over here, and I was able to get it here. Fine, and make sure that you have used the correct name in your command. Okay, so here is the zip file. Now I'm going to show you what is there present inside this zip folder. Double click it. You will see this CNV, then inside ENV we have lib, we have Python 3.8, we have site packages. Now the next thing that you have to do is you have to extract everything from this zip folder. It will take some time. Why I am unzipping it, that is also something which I'm going to tell you, but let me just get the content of it. Okay, so the unzipping of the folder has been done. And as you can see, I got this folder named layer, inside which I have this folder env, then lib, site package, Python 3.8, site packages, and all these packages are there inside this Python 3.8 named folder. Now, the change that you have to do here is you have to change this name to Python. Okay, so that your structure will become like this: Python lib, Python 3.8, site packages, and then your site packages are there inside the site packages name folder. Okay, next thing that you have to do is you have to create a zip of this Python folder. Okay, remember the system. Fine, this is the major step of creating the zip folder, which we will upload on the Lambda function. So as to make the Lambda function execute and recognize these libraries present inside the site packages name folder. So once you're done with creating a zip of this Python folder, the next thing comes is you have to upload it in the layer part of AWS console. Simply come on Lambda functions. Fine, and here you will see this layer name thing. Come on, create layer, put a name for your layer. Let's say testing Lambda or Lambda. Okay, just a second. If I do it like this, yeah. And then here you can upload that zip folder you have created. I think this is the one which I just created. Let me just check it. No. Inside Lambda we have this layer 2, then Python. Fine. We do not have anything like layer 2, right? It is testing Lambda. Okay. So upload. Then you have to come on testing Lambda layer, and this is the one which we just created. Open it. Tick mark both these options and then choose Python 3.8, right? You can choose Python 3.9 also depending on your requirements. Okay, and then do a create. So what it will do, it will upload the libraries for your AWS Lambda function inside a layer, okay, which you can use for your Lambda function for the code you will put inside it to execute and read the libraries. How Lambda function can create a connection with this layer, that is what we are going to talk next about. So by the time this layer is getting created, let's come on the Lambda function. So you can simply write Lambda, and here it will redirect you to this Lambda console. Just come on create a function, come on author from scratch, and then put a name for your function. So pandas numpy, and then come down and choose the runtime. So for me it is 3.8, right? And then we can come down and just create the function. So the layer has got created successfully. Now we are creating a function in which we are going to put the numpy pandas code. Okay, from where will I get it? Let me just duplicate it, and I'm going to simply copy that Lambda numpy function which is present in US North, I think. This is the one which I was using earlier actually, and I'm going to simply come inside this and take this code from here and put it inside the Lambda function which I just created. So as you can see, it's in US East 1. Okay, and then if I just deploy it, fine, I've deployed this code successfully. Let me just run it. So this is the error which it has given me. No module named numpy. Why it has given us this error? Because we haven't uploaded, it is not able to find the libraries numpy and pandas anywhere. And why is it so? Because we have not connected the layer we have created, okay, this layer with this numpy function. How to do that? You need to come down. Here you will find this add a layer button. Then you have to come on custom layers and simply select this layer that you have created, which is testing Lambda. You can select the version and then you can simply add it to your Lambda function. So as you can see, it's coming as successfully updated the function pandas numpy. Okay, now you can simply close it. Let's see whether this time it will give us any error or it will run successfully and give us the correct output. So I'm going to just test it and invoke the function. See, it has given us the correct output. Right, so this is the way you can install libraries on your Lambda function. For your Lambda function, creating a layer is one method. Then second method is you can simply upload the zip file from here too. but it's better to go with creating a layer, because here, even if your file size is large, you can, upload it easily. Here we have lots of limitations, so you cannot upload more than 50 MB or I think 25 MB of file. So it's better to go with Lambda layer than to go with this zip file uploading directly. I hope you find it interesting and you have understood the complete method of installing libraries for your Lambda functions on AWS through layer functionality. That is it from my side in this lecture. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye bye, take care, and have a great day, guys.